Good evening, welcome to Meatless Mondays. Yeah, I was going to say, do you want now or do you want me to wait a bit, Meg?
Do you want it now?
Take them out, please.
Ooh. How is everybody doing? We'll wait a couple minutes to see who logs on. We'll start cooking at 5:33. And remember, say hello when you pop on because I can't actually see who pops on. So say hello, let me know if you're cooking or not so that I can, oh, it's fine. So that I can know who's cooking along. I hope you guys had a really good day today. 2 people on. Let's see. Say hello. Mystery cookers. With mystery, well, I still can't see who's watching. So, all right, we'll wait 1 more minute and then we'll start cooking away. Better get my knife. David. Hi, David. You've popped in every week, but I don't actually know if you cook. Do you cook when you watch or do you just watch? Let me know. Hi, Mum. Thanks for popping on to watch. Are you cooking or are you watching? This is going to be the last Meatless Monday for a while. We're going to have a little bit of a break and then we're going to bring it back with all new ideas and awesome recipes in a couple of weeks' time. Rightio. 5:33. Let's start cooking. I'm hungry. I had a massive day on the mountain today. I teach at Kadrona on Mondays, which is really, really fun. It's a pastime job of mine. And I can't seem to give up teaching. I just love it. So, yeah, I always get home and I'm like, I'm starving. Watching. Hi, Mum. Okay, so the first thing you want to do is you want to get your onion. Use half a white or a red onion. And that's basically, you just don't want it to be overpowered. So this red onion has a really heavy skin on it, so I'm just going to peel that off. And then you just want to finely dice your red onion. Can everybody see what I'm doing? There we go. I'm going to turn on my front. I'm using a skillet tonight. Whoa, watch me go wild. I don't use skillets much, but I do love them because it's non-toxic cooking and you can just do a lot with them. They can go into the oven. You can just do everything. So I do enjoy cooking with a skillet. And if you're worried about, if you've watched the movie Dark Waters, then you definitely would want to move towards a skillet over Teflon. And if you haven't watched Dark Waters and you don't know what I'm talking about, I highly, I mean, I'm a bit of a geek, so I nerded out in the movie, but I highly recommend going to watch Dark Waters. It is incredible. It is a long movie. I think it's like 2 hours, but it is such a good movie. So we've got my red onion here. I've just finally diced that up. We're going to use half a red capsicum. So I have a little knob left over here. So I'm just going to get that and use that. And I'm going to use a half a red capsicum. Red capsicums are kind of expensive right now, especially with the low growth rate, because one, it's been really cold, and 2, COVID, farmers didn't really know how much to plant. So we're definitely low on capsicum and they're expensive right now. So if you don't have them for this recipe, that is totally okay. You don't have to have them. You can always put in eggplant. You can put in a little bit of more onion. You can put in some more ginger. Ginger, not ginger. Don't know what I'm talking about. But yeah, there's always, like I said, and every week, if there's something that you can't afford to have or you can't find, it's okay. It's no big deal. You can just sub it out. It's not going to make or break your eating. So now I have a sweet potato. This is quite a big sweet potato, so I'm going to chop it in half. And I'm only going to use half. Now, you can choose whether you want to keep the skin on or peel the skin. I like to keep the skin. It's full of fiber, which is really good for your gut. And it also adds a different texture to the meal as well. But if you've got a person who, say, might struggle to chew or needs very soft food, then I would take the skin off. So I'm going to dice my my sweet potato, my kurma, really small, and just allow it to. That means that it's going to be able to give you flavour, give you a bit of texture and consistency in the meal, because some of it will turn into mush, but some of it will hold shape. So that you can have soft kurma rather than hard kurma. Awesome. So we have red onion, your capsicum, and your kurma, and we're going to put this into the hot pan, your skillet, your pan, whatever you want to do. You can hear it sizzling. And just give it a really good trim around. You want to make sure that your pan is big enough so that it is covered, the ingredients aren't completely suffocated by the other ingredients. They want room to breathe. This also allows for cooking time. If some of your pieces aren't chopped up enough, then break them up. Next thing you're going to do is you're going to get your garlic. The recipe calls for 3 cloves of garlic. Like I said, every week, if you love garlic, eat away. Add like 6 cloves of garlic. Add 7. Don't hold back. Enjoy it. So I'm going to use 4 today because 2 of my garlic cloves are really little. And then, like always, you smash them and get the skin off. And then pull up my sleeves. And then give them a really good dice. And once again, if you like garlic, if you don't have children in your house, or you can make it really, really big chunks of garlic, or if you have children in the house and you're just trying to disguise the flavour or introduce slowly more flavours, then that's where you're going to start crushing the garlic a little bit more. So you get your knife, you get your palm, and you just smash away. By doing this, yes, it's an extra step and it takes a little bit longer, but overall it saves you money and your health, because you don't have to buy the pre-crushed garlic that's full of preservatives to keep it healthy and not moldy. Cool, so I'm going to add my garlic in there. And we're going to give it a really good stir with my wooden spoon. Let that go. We're going to let this sizzle away and we're going to get our quinoa ready. So I've got my pot and I'm going to, it's 1 to 2 ratio. So 1 part quinoa, 2 part water. So you can always cook your quinoa with like seasonings and flavorings, but I just like to keep it basic, especially for this recipe, because this recipe has quite strong flavors already within it. So you just need half a cup to 1 cup of water, but remember, with any grains that we cook, we want to rinse them before we cook them, and that's just to get off any harshness in the grain or any kind of manufacturing dust. So get your sieve. And get your half cup measure. Half cup. And head over to measure out your half cup. And then, like we always do, run it under water and give it a really good massage. Give it a good shaker, get your pot, flip it upside down, and hopefully your sieve as your pot, give it a bang. Then add your 1 cup of cold water. We'll put that to a really high heat and we'll let it start to simmer, and it always wants to maintain a simmer. So once it starts to bubble, then we reduce the heat slowly until all of the water has disappeared. Give your skillet and your skillet will get hot, so you'll need to start using a tea towel or something to. Now everybody, take a sip of water, a sip of your wine, a sip of your beer, a sip of your juice. Take a drink, hydration. Cool. The next thing is, we want to get our tofu ready. So like always, you want to have 100 grams of protein per person. Because we have our quinoa, which is a really high protein grain, we're going to be having 300 grams of our tofu. Most tofu blocks come in 290 grams or 300 grams, so you should be fine. This tofu block comes in 450, so I'm just going to chop a little bit off. Also dependent on how many people you're cooking for tonight. If you're just cooking for 2, just do like 175 grams. Or if you want this to be a really high protein meal, do 200 grams, whatever you feel like doing. So I'm just going to take a block off. I don't really weigh much, but this, I'm going to say that that's about 150 grams. Now to store your tofu, put it into a container, cover it with water, and it will be absolutely fine in the fridge as long as you change the water every day. So just like that. Then tomorrow, if I don't eat tofu, which I probably won't, I'll just drain the water and re-water it. It's like flowers, you've got to water them every day. So now with your tofu, cut it into blocks. I like to cut it into quite big blocks so it maintains its shape. So my blocks are like 1 centimeter by 1 centimeter, whatever you want. So I'm just going to repeat that process for the whole block. Now, with tofu, I like to pat it dry. People say that tofu can be quite wet and like yucky. So, a good way to manage this is to kind of spread it out. I wonder if I have paper towels. I hope I have paper towels. If I don't, I'm just going to pretend. I don't think I have any paper towels. So I'm just going to pretend. Get your paper towel, pat it down. Pat it down. until you have repeat that process until the paper towels isn't wet anymore. I'm going to turn my skillet down a little bit. It's getting quite hot. And with things like this, you don't want it to burn, especially when you're cooking the whole meal in one pan. It's like a stew. If you burn the beginning of the stew, the onions and the garlic, your whole stew is going to taste burnt. So now that we have pretended to pat down our tofu, we're going to coat in the corn flour and or tapioca starch. So if you're gluten free, tapioca starch. If you're not worried about gluten, corn flour is fine. So I'm going to do it. You can do it a couple of ways. You can do it in a bag, like a snap-lock bag. That I find gets the best coating. Or you can do it in a bowl. So here's my tofu lid. Just put that on there. So I'm just going to put my tofu into here. Also, if you want to save on dishes, then a bag is great. And I could just keep a bag, and that does the same every week. So we need 1 teaspoon of Cajun, 1 teaspoon of cumin, half a teaspoon of paprika, and 2 tablespoons of corn flour. So I'm just going to get the corn flour out. Found it. And there's about 2 tablespoons in here, so I'm just going to sprinkle it over. Give this a stir again. It's okay. And then your paprika and your, I ran out of Cajun, so I don't have Cajun for this recipe, but I'm just going to do a touch more paprika and cumin. If you want to be exactly precise, use your measurements. However, I'm just going to wing it. Paprika is flavor, so if you don't like smoky spice, then you can omit the paprika. Now that you have that, let's chuck some salt and pepper on there. My quinoa is starting to bubble away, so I'm going to turn it down a little bit. Then I get my blue spatula, and I'm just going to make sure that all of the tofu is coated. So the reason why we do the corn flour coating is that's what gives the tofu a crispy outside, and then the seasonings season off the tofu quite well. And then once we put our can of tomatoes into tofu, then we're going to be, oopsies, then the seasonings will go into the sauce as well. So this is what your tofu should look like. Nice and flavored. We're going to add that on. What I'm actually going to do is move my onions and capsicums to the side. They've had quite a good amount of time to get crispy and delicious. So I'm going to do that, and I'm going to put my tofu in there. And I'm just going to let that season up a bit. If your pan's quite dry like mine, feel free to add a little bit extra oil. Oh, maybe not. But yeah, we've got a little bit of oil left. As you can tell, I need to go grocery shopping. So now that that's sitting away getting crispy, let's get our tomato paste and our whole tomatoes. If you wanted to bulk this dish out for like family member, like if you had lots of friends coming, You can easily add eggplant. Eggplant is an awesome addition, and it also, eggplant absorbs lots of flavor, so it's really good addition. If you're avoiding soy, I know there's quite a few people avoiding soy for different specific reasons, then you can totally use a can of chickpeas. So there's lots of different reasons. You can fancy it up, you can get proper tomatoes in there. Mushrooms aren't so great, but that's just me and a texture person. I don't really like mushrooms in them. But yeah, you can add so many different things. So let your tofu crisp away. So this part will be just a little bit of a waiting game. Does anyone have any questions? Is anyone curious about anything just while we wait for the tofu to crisp up? I still can't. Say hi if you're watching. I just talk to myself for like half an hour to 45 minutes every Monday night. It's great. But I do love seeing a lot of people, because of winter and they work up the hill or various different reasons, they haven't been able to watch the videos at 5:30 on Monday. But a lot of people are watching the replays. Like, people came to me today and they were like, oh, we're going to watch the replay tomorrow night. So it is really nice to be able to know that people are still enjoying Meatless Mondays even though they can't be here in person on the night, because yeah, it just makes it feel really good. And like, that was the point of Meatless Mondays, was to get people in the kitchen and cooking, and if it's not on a Monday, then that's absolutely okay. So nice. So I'm going to start to, I was going to use the tongs, but it's going to be too impatient. I'm going to start to toss up the tofu. So if you have time and the patience, you should let this sit for a couple of minutes on each side to get it nice and crispy. Another option is that you can is that you could put the tofu into the Got Bean Supreme tofu, can't recommend. Oh no. Bean Supreme macro tofu from Countdown, Jotika, is the bomb. It's the best one that I've found so far, that like maintains shape. You can cut it, you can crumble it, you can cook it, and it's still organic, so it is the best. I think Bean Supreme, if I remember, is very crumbly, I think. It will still taste delicious. It'll be fine. Yeah, so what I was saying is that if you have time, then I totally recommend putting this tofu in the skillet for a good couple of minutes. Another option is to put it into the oven on fan bake or grill and just grill it off for a little bit. But we're not going to be that particular. It's going to be just fine. So I'm losing everything. I'm losing it all. I'm going to mix them up. Make sure you get all those seasonings off the base of your pan. You want those to go into your sauce. Yum. Right. Now we're going to make sure check your quinoa. Hopefully your quinoa is not boiling away. You want it to be nice simmer. So the next thing we're going to do is your 1 can of diced tomatoes, your 2 tablespoons of tomato paste. Now from the kitchen I have leftover whole tomatoes. So if you ever have whole tomatoes, then what you can do is just get them and make them into diced tomatoes by squeezing them in your hand. So I'm going to really quickly wash my hands. And I'm going to squeeze the tomatoes. Don't want to be wasteful in this house. So, oh, it feels really gross. But I'm just going to... Oh, gross. It's like slime. It's going to taste delicious. It's okay. I do actually really enjoy using whole tomatoes as well because they give so much texture to a meal. Oh, there's tomatoes going everywhere. Oh, gross. Oh! Oh no! Okay, well, we've got tomato juice everywhere. Ooh. Look at all that flavour that's coming out of those tomatoes. Okay, that's done. Wash my hands again. Wash my pants, wash my floor. Cool. Once that's in there, so add, if you missed the memo, add your can of tomatoes. Oopsies. Check your quinoa, make sure it's not boiling over. Okay, so I've got my tomatoes in there. Now I'm going to add my tomato paste. Ugh. Got my teaspoon again. It says 2 tablespoons. So I'm just going to do like 4 and a bit teaspoons. Like that. That's going to give you a lot of richness to the meal. So I'm going to just stir that in. Salt and pepper. Now you want to increase your heat to a good simmer, and then we're going to stir it really frequently, and then once it's getting to a really good boil, we're going to turn it down a little bit, and we're going to leave it, well, the recipe says to leave it for 15 to 20 minutes. However, I'm just going to show you how to serve it, and then I'm going to hop off, and you can let yours, you can let it simmer for like an hour if you really want to. And it's the same as like any sort of kind of meal like this, is the longer you leave it, the more the flavors are going to absorb and accentuate and just be delicious and work together. Cool, so mine's got a good, check your quinoa, make sure there's no water, there's still water in there. Let it bubble away. So yeah, you can cook it for however long you like. I like to cook it for like a solid 20 minutes. I just think the flavors develop really, really well. But yeah, if you're in a hurry, eat it now. It's going to be delicious. If you're not in a hurry and you want to let the flavors absorb, wait a while. Let the flavors develop and get delicious. Once again, you can spend as much or as little time in the kitchen as you like. Your food will still be delicious if you're following a good recipe. It's just how much you want the flavors to develop. And sometimes, you know what? You might not even notice a difference, and that's okay. Cool, my quinoa is pretty much ready. There's a touch of water left. I'm gonna get a pot lid. get a pot lid ready for your quinoa. If yours is bubbling away and it's been bubbling away for a couple of minutes, if you're going to let yours simmer, then reduce the heat right down. If you want to eat your meal right now, then leave it to simmer for a little bit longer. Cool, I'm going to turn my quinoa pot off, put my lid on, leave that for a couple of minutes. Wow, I have made a mess. The tomatoes have gone everywhere. Awesome. So we have some exciting news. We have sorry, it's bubbling so much. We will not be doing Meatless Monday next week. My family is here and I'm taking, I want to say, a well-deserved break. But yeah, just with being up the mountain and trying to get down for Meatless Mondays, it's been a bit difficult. So we're going to have a week or two off Meatless Mondays. We'll still be releasing recipes, but Meatless Mondays will just be on pause for 2 weeks. And then we will come back with some amazing recipes and ready to rumble. But if you are in the Wanaka, Queenstown or Cromwell area and you love the sausageless rolls, we have a new supplier, Kajona Alpine Resort. We'll have the Balance Me vegan sausageless rolls on their counters for you to grab and go within the week, which is so exciting. You've heard it here first, nobody else knows. But yeah, so that has been what we've been doing a lot behind the scenes to get more wholesalers and kind of learn how to go around that market. But yeah, it's happening and we're so excited. So next thing we're going to do is get you a bag of spinach. For me tonight, once again, don't have any spinach, so I'm using mesclun, which will still be just as delicious. I'm going to put a handful of that in there. I'm going to get my quinoa, pork, and mix it up. I'm just going to put a spoon on there. This is just your base. Don't need too much of it. And then I'm going to get my Tofu Shakshuka and get a spoon with no holes. And get yourself some Shakshuka onto your plate. Finish it off. You can make it look more presentable. You can move your tofu around. Give yourself some sauce. Then to season it, you want to get your chili flakes, 1 spice, don't put any chili flakes on there. And if you do, I don't have any parsley because it's winter. So what I'm going to do is just get some dried parsley and just sprinkle it over there just for some colour. Oops, take that off, otherwise I'm going to melt it. And there you have it, Tofu Shakshuka. Let's turn this light on so you can actually see me. And it's super quick, super easy. You can leave it in there for the flavors to develop for as long as you like. A quick, easy half-an-hour meal, or you can make it a good 45-minute meal and let the flavors develop for even longer, or you can let the tofu get really, really crispy. So there's a lot of ways to adapt this recipe to your lifestyle and how you want to eat and how fast you want to eat. But there it is, delicious, easy, yum. If you have any questions, let me know. Sign up to our mailing list to be able to know when the next Meatless Monday is coming on, or like Balance Me on Facebook or Instagram, and we will tell you. But it's definitely going to be at least 2 weeks of no Meatless Mondays. I apologize, but it will definitely be back, we promise. And if you have any questions, shout out. Otherwise, enjoy your Meatless Monday. Sure. No questions? Okay, thank you so much for joining in. Thank you so much for following Balance Me along this journey of introducing Meatless Mondays to the community and families in New Zealand. It's been such a pleasure. This is not goodbye. I mean, this is not, how does that saying go? I don't even know. I don't know. But this is not forever. It's just for 2 weeks. And we will see you on the other side.